Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Okay, so we have completed understanding a couple of things. One is the Cooktum algorithm. So one algorithm to compute convolution is the Cooktum algorithm, and we also learned about iterated convolution. So what I want to do is spend time understanding the next topic, which is Winograd algorithm, Winograd convolution algorithm, so which is based on the Chinese remainder theorem. And last class I was briefly talking about Chinese remainder theorem. Okay, any problem with the homework? How did the homework go? Was it okay? Anybody did not finish and needs more time? Okay, okay, okay. I am going to give you maybe until end of today. Is that enough?
I hope so. I'm halfway there, so should be.
You were sick. Yeah, I know you told me you were sick. Okay, you turn it in by end of tomorrow. Is that okay? By 5 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so here is the thing. Once I put solution, then I will not grade your homework. So, well, I mean, there is no point grading homework after solution is posted to the site. And unless you take my permission, there will be small penalty if you turn in without my permission. So this gentleman was sick, and I'm permitting him until tomorrow. But if you have some situation, please do let me know, and I am happy to give you extension. But if you didn't talk to me, then you will probably lose some percent. I don't know, 10 or 15 or 20%, depending on how many days you are delayed. Okay, but anyway, let's not worry about that. Any questions or concerns from the homework? I may have more to talk about after I look at your homeworks, but otherwise, anything that you want to talk about quickly? Okay, if not, so we'll continue with our discussion from last class. So we were beginning to talk about Chinese remainder theorem, and then we saw that to understand that we need to talk about the Euclid's GCD algorithm, and I went through this Euclid's GCD algorithm, and we went through an example, and finally we saw that if two numbers have the greatest common divisor g, then we can write that as g is equal to some integer times one number plus another integer times the other number. And if they're co-prime, then they can be written as 1 is equal to AR plus BS. So all these properties are very nicely taught in anybody who wants to learn about number theory. By the way, signal processing was very much, in those days, people were interested in many types of ideas from number theoretic transforms. So there was a lot of interest. So number theory plays a big role in all of these Winograd convolution and those kinds of things. And it is not a surprise that mathematicians like Winograd have played a big role in these FFTs and so on. Okay, so let me just, before I move on, I sent you a link to learn a little more by reading solutions. But let me just give you one example of how can we use the Euclid's GCD idea to solve congruences. So let's say that I'm going to solve the first problem from the link that I gave you. 6x is congruent to 15 mod 21. Okay, so solve for x. So find x such that 6 times that number is going to be 15 when I take the modulo with respect to 21. Okay, so basically we are interested in solving something like 6x plus some number, let's call a times 21, because a is an integer, is 15. Okay, so the first thing we do is to make sure these quantities are mutually co-prime. So first compute GCD of 6 and 21, and we can quickly see that 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 7 is 21. So divide that by 3, and then we get 2x plus some other constants. Okay, it's not a, but a by 3, but so let's call it a prime, some other constant, times 7 is equal to 5. Okay, so 2 and 7 are mutually co-prime. Okay, so what does that say? So that says that some b times 2, there must exist b and c integers. These are integers. There must exist some integers such that b times 2 plus c times 7 is equal to 1. How do I find b and c? Euclid's algorithm. So let's divide 7 by 2. 7 is equal to 3 times 2 plus 1. Well, once I reach 1, that's the GCD. I don't need to go any further. I mean, I would go any further one step, and 2 is equal to 2 times 1 plus 0. We are looking for the last non-zero remainder, and the last non-zero remainder is 1. So I can then say 1 is equal to 7 minus 7 plus minus 3 times 2. So that's, so in this case b is so 1 times 7. So b is where is, yeah, this is b. The coefficient of 2 is b, and c is that number. So from the Euclid's algorithm we can find b and c. So what I really want to solve is this 5. Okay, so multiply by 5. So 5 times this whole equation. Okay, so what do we get? 5 is equal to 5 times 7 plus minus 15 times 2. Okay. And so now so what we were trying to solve basically here is so this equation here is same as 2x. So what I wrote down here is same as 2x is equal to 5 mod 7. That same thing. So mod 7 means add or subtract any number times 7 is not going to make any difference. Okay. So so we want to really solve this quantity is, so I can now add or subtract any multiples of 7 to bring these coefficients to be positive. Well, I guess. Okay, so I can then write this as equal to 5 times 7 plus 6 times 2 mod 7. Okay, think about what I did here. So I added this minus 15 plus, I need to make that positive between 0 and 6. Between 0 and 6. Mod 7 means the remainder has to be less than 7, means maximum 6. So I add some multiple of 7. So in this case 3 multiples of 7. So that gives me that I can replace, as long as it is modulo 7, minus 15 is identical to 6. And now in fact I can go back. So I have now 2 times x plus some constant times 7. So some constant is 5. So this a prime is 5. That's 5. Okay. Plus some number times 2. So this x must be 6. Mod 7. This is all mod 7. Okay. So now one solution to this is x is 6. That's how I find. Now you can see that 6 times 6 is 36, modulo 21, remainder 15. Now, if you see here the GCD is a 3, so that means there must exist 3 solutions. Why? Because I have divided the whole thing by 3. So that means that there must exist 2 more solutions, and the way we find 2 more solutions I won't say a lot more. I will try to give your homework by end of today related to all these things we are learning. So the first solution, x is 6, and the second solution will be, so keep adding 7, so keep adding 7. So if I add 7 more, that will be 6 plus 7, 13. Okay. So now, so okay, why is it, why? So remember the modulo is with respect to 21. So we find all solutions. This is modulo 7. We keep adding multiples of 7 so that they are less than 21. So 6 plus 7 is one solution. 13 plus 20 is other solution. So these are the 3 solutions. I don't need to add any more because 20 plus 7 is 27. Modulo is back to 6. So these are 3 unique solutions to that question. Okay, so so with that you should be able to understand the link to learning more about congruence and Chinese remainder theorem. You will read the solutions and you can learn more. Okay, let's go back and talk about how to compute the GCD of polynomials. Okay, so so last class we talked about Euclid's algorithm and GCD of numbers. So okay, how do we find GCD of numbers? So if we are trying to compute the greatest common divisor of R and S, assuming S is bigger than R, so we keep dividing until we get to 0. The last non-zero is the greatest common divisor. So so in this case, let me say that we want to compute the GCD of S, X, and Rx. And now I had assumed S is greater than R. Let me now assume that the degree of S is bigger than degree of R. Okay, so if that is true, then I divide S by R. So Sx is equal to first quotient. These are polynomials now, no longer numbers. Q1x times R of x plus R1 is exact same thing, but now instead it's a polynomial. So then divide Rx is equal to next quotient times R1x plus next remainder R2. Divide R1 by R2. So R1 is the next quotient times R2 plus remainder R3. R3 x is quotient 4 times R3 plus R4 x. Okay, so then let me say that R4x, let's say in this example, R4x, I'm going to stop here, is equal to sum Q is equal to some constant alpha times R3x. Let's see here, R3 something R2 and R3. Okay, R3x is some constant times R4x, R4x, yeah, okay. So divide R3 by R4. So the last thing here, so when we divided this here, 20 times 3 plus 0, so that's still 0. Okay, so so the polynomial algorithm stops. In this example, it R n minus 1 x is equal to q n plus 1 x times R n x. Okay, so okay, so I guess. Okay, so R 3x is equal to, okay, let's put this R 3x is equal to Q5x times R4x. Okay, we are done with that. Plus 0, okay, plus 0. So the last non-zero remainder is R4. So the GCD is some constant times R4, not necessarily exactly R4, but some constant alpha times R4. That's kind of how this works here. Okay, so in the original example, this was the greatest common divisor. In the polynomial case, any constant can be multiplied here, and that makes it any GCD. So it doesn't really matter. So that constant doesn't matter. Okay, so let's go through one example from the appendix C. So let me just take the same example from appendix C, and then we will continue with Chinese remainder theorem. So okay, so okay, GCD of Sx and Rx can also be written as some polynomial Ax times Sx plus Bx times Rx. Okay, so exactly again same as the last time we talked about AR. AR plus BS equal to 1. If they are co-prime, G is equal to this. So this A and B are now polynomials. Okay. Okay. So now, if these are mutually co-prime, if these polynomials are mutually co-prime, then this quantity will be 1, GCD will be 1, okay. All right, so let me take this example. This is example C.3.1 from Appendix C. So let me just take these values. Sx is a third degree polynomial, x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 1. Rx is a degree 2 polynomial, x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay, so we are interested in finding the GCD. Okay, so find GCD of S and R. Okay, so we divide Sx is equal to Rx. Now, if I divide this, what do I get? So x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 1 divided by x squared minus 2x plus 1. So x cubed minus 2x squared plus x, subtract, that gives me x squared minus 1 plus 1, and then x squared minus 2x plus 1, subtract, we get remainder. Okay, so this is x plus 1 times Rx, and these cancel out, so the remainder becomes 2x minus 2. Okay. Next, divide Rx by this is R1x. Okay, so that's R1x. So then divide Rx is equal to R1x. Okay, so Rx, so we divide Rx, x squared minus 2x plus 1 by R1x, so that's x by 2 makes it x squared minus 2 by 2 is 1, x, subtract, minus x plus 1 minus half, and that makes it minus half times 2 minus 1 plus 1, and then okay, so that's cancelled out, so we are done. So that is equal to half x minus half plus 0. Okay, so if this is 0, what is the GCD? Okay, so that's the last remainder that was non-zero, so this is stop quickly. So the GCD of S, X and Rx is equal to 2x minus 2. Okay. Finally, if I want to find out what are Ax and Bx such that A times S plus B times R is equal to 1, so you do the back substitution. Okay, so we can do the back substitution by here. So if I do the back substitution, so g of x is equal to 2x minus 2. Well, in this case it's trivial, so take this to the other side. So Sx times 1 minus x plus 1 times Rx. So you can think of this as Ax, and this, okay, I can write this as plus minus. Okay, I can think of this as B of x. So B of x is a minus of x plus 1, and that's how, it's exactly the same thing as numbers extended to polynomials. Okay, any questions so far? All right, okay, so now, so this is exactly what we will use to find the n and m for applying Chinese remainder theorem. Okay, but before I get to the Chinese remainder theorem, I just want to, so we'll get to the Chinese remainder theorem that I wrote down here from last class. Everything will be polynomial instead of numbers. Everything stays the same. If we just replace by polynomials, then everything stays the same. Okay, so I just want to talk briefly about how to quickly compute remainders. Okay, let's say that I want to find out remainder of x cube minus 7x squared plus 8x plus 3 with respect to x minus 2. So if I divide this whole thing by x minus 2, what will be, I am not asking the quotient, I am simply asking the remainder. What will be the remainder? Can anybody tell me quickly what will be the remainder? Or at least how to find it? How do I quickly find the remainder? Well, I can see that number theory probably is new to most of you, which is fine, which is perfectly fine. There is no need to learn before, because we learn here. Okay, so here is the thing. So basically x minus 2 means just substitute x is equal to 2. So that remainder is going to be 2 cube minus 7 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 plus 3. So that's 8 minus 28 plus 16 plus 3, which is minus 1. Okay, so that's a very quick way to compute the remainder. Now if I want to compute the remainder of same thing, but now let's say I want to find the remainder with respect to x squared plus x minus 2 as example. Okay, so how do you, so what are we trying to do? We are trying to basically say that, okay, substitute this quantity, whatever we are dividing by, equal to 0 and solve for x and substitute x. We do the same thing here in a little more non-trivial way. So set this equal to 0. What do we get if we set this equal to 0? X squared is equal to minus x plus 2. That's what I get. Now wherever there is x squared, substitute that, and we also remember that the remainder degree has to be less than degree 2. So the remainder has to be a degree 1 polynomial. This was a degree 1 polynomial, so the remainder is degree 0 or constant. If I divide by degree 2 polynomial, the remainder will be a degree 1 polynomial. Okay, so the first thing I can say, okay, I have x cube here. What do I do with x cube? Okay, we just say, let's write that as x times x squared and then substitute minus x plus 2 minus 7 times x squared is replaced by minus x plus 2 plus 8x plus 3, which then becomes minus x squared plus 2x plus 7x, which is 9x plus another 8x, 17x minus 14 plus 3 minus 11. I am not really done because I need to keep taking modulo with respect to x squared because there is x squared term here. So again substitute x squared is minus x plus 2. So x squared is minus x plus 2 minus x squared is x minus 2, which then becomes 18x minus 13. So that is a degree 1 polynomial and that's going to be the remainder with respect to this quantity here. So that's a very, very quick way of computing remainder. I am not computing quotient now, I am just computing remainder. Okay. Any questions? What if this was x cube plus x minus 2? If this was also degree 3, then the remainder would be a degree 2 polynomial. So if this was x cube plus x minus 2, so put that equal to 0, solve for x cube equal to minus x plus 2. So at this term here, just replace by this, and that remaining polynomial plus this will be a second degree polynomial, and that's the remainder. Okay. All right. So now I think the last thing that I want to talk about before we start talking about Winograd convolution is how do we define Chinese remainder theorem for polynomials. Okay. Exact same thing, everything is the same. Okay. So so instead of small numbers, so in this case I assumed these three small numbers m0, m1, m2, and the product is m, which is 60. So let's say that here we assume the same things, but these are now polynomials. These are low degree polynomials. Just like think about these are corresponding to something like a beta in the case of Cook-Tum algorithm. So if we have m0, m2, these are small moduli which are mutually co-prime, by the way. I think the book, I think I am using 0 to k, so that means k plus 1 moduli. But let me just get to that page so I can make sure I am consistent. Yeah, m0 to mk. Okay, so we have k plus 1 moduli, and m of x is the product of m of I of x, I equal to 0 to k, and just like I defined here, m of I, which is m by the modulo, ith modulo, same thing here, exact same. M of I of x is m of x divided by the modulo m I of x. So, so take the entire product, divide by that m I, that cancels out then, and whatever is left is m of I of x. Okay. So, so given a polynomial which is less than the degree of m of x, okay, it has to be less than degree of m of x, then given a polynomial, so let's say that degree of s of x, s of x, let's say, is equal to, is less than degree of m of x. So I can then say s of x is equal to s of x modulo m of x. Why? Well, this degree is higher. So there is nothing wrong in saying, there is nothing wrong in saying x squared plus 1 is the same as x squared plus 1 modulo x cubed plus 3. Okay. So then if we know the remainders, so that's why I was spending time on computing remainders, how to quickly compute remainders. So let's say that S0 is the remainder of S0 of x, is the remainder of S of x. Okay, I'm going to change this to let's say Si of x is the remainder of S of x with respect to the modulo mi of x. Okay. So now we are given what we had called this Ci, so we can call Si, it doesn't really matter. So now I can say that, okay, so I take that formula and generalize that to S of x is equal to summed over I equal to 0 to k, Si of x, these are the remainders, times Ni of x times Mi of, sorry, capital Mi, mi of x, modulo, finally modulo m of x. Okay, so again, how do I solve for this? How do I solve for this? Solve for that by using the Euclid's algorithm, by understanding that GCD of m of I of x and m of I of x is 1. Why is that 1? Because we had cancelled out mi, we had cancelled out mi from m. So this mi and mi are, so this is equal to ni. I am just not writing the x, but exact same thing, ni of x plus mi of x plus ni and mi. So exact same thing, and that's how we compute ni. Okay. So that's ni of x times mi of x plus ni of x times mi of x, and that's how we solve for ni. So this ni comes from Euclid's algorithm. Exact same thing. Exact same thing. So let's go through one example. Let's go through one example how to compute, how to use this to solve the Winograd convolution algorithm. So the book has Winograd and then the modified Winograd, and the first example is pretty involved, and I can probably walk through that, but it's probably not worthwhile to go through that here, because not only that it will take time, which is okay, but I think to explain the concepts easily, let's talk about the modified Winograd convolution. By the way, what is Winograd convolution? This is Winograd convolution. That is it. That's it. Apply Chinese remainder theorem, and that's as soon as I can work out an example to illustrate this, we are done. So that is the basis. The Chinese remainder theorem is the basis for Winograd convolution. So if I take a 2 by 3 point convolution, so S of x is equal to h of x S of p. S of p, so I am going to use now p instead of x times x of p. So these polynomials were in x, but now we will consider polynomials in p, not to confuse with the input x. Okay, so in this example I am assuming h is 2 point, so that's h0 plus h1p, and x is 3 point, so that's x0 plus x1p plus x2p squared. Okay, so if I am interested in using the, what is the degree of this polynomial? 3. This is just p times p squared is p cube. So if I am interested in using Chinese remainder theorem for S of p and expand that by the Chinese remainder theorem, then m has to be of degree greater than 3. So the lowest degree of m should be 4. That means the product of all of these should be of degree 4, minimum degree 4. And what we learned from Cook-Tum algorithm, why do we prefer small values of beta, like beta equal to 0, 1, minus 1, 2, minus 2, because those don't require multiplications. And similarly, these polynomials, preferred polynomials, are same thing, p plus 1, p just p plus 1, p minus 1, p plus 2, p minus 2, etc. So the book illustrates this S of p. Okay, the book example illustrates using degree of m of x, m of p to be 4, and in that case I believe the moduli m0 is p, m1. We can take a look. Let's see what the moduli are. Yeah, p minus 1. So that's example 8.3.3. So example, I may talk about it, but I would rather spend time on the other one, but we'll come back to this if we want. So p minus 1 and another moduli m2 is p squared plus 1. So now if you take the product, that's now degree 4. Now I can say, okay, so I can now compute the remainders and then apply. So after the remainders are known, I can use the GCD algorithm and then finally expand this, equate the coefficients, and we are done. But that's not really, that's easy to say done, but it can take 30 minutes minimum, maybe more than 30 minutes. But okay, so we are not going to work on that right now, but instead I am going to work on the modified Winograd. That's as you will see. So let's work out the modified Winograd algorithm, which is example 8.3.4. So in the modified Winograd algorithm, we are going to consider the Chinese remainder theorem expansion of S prime p, which is SP minus the last term, as we have seen in the examples, minus h1 x2 p cube. So now if you subtract, so this is a degree 3 polynomial. If I subtract the last term, degree 3 term, now S prime p is going to be a degree 2 polynomial, okay, which means that m of x, I can now choose m of x, degree of m of x now can be 3, which is greater than 2. So now I can choose the moduli. So let me use the moduli same as the book. So this is m0 is p, m1 is p minus 1, m2 is p plus 1. So if you want to relate these to what beta are, then that's just 0, 1, minus 1. Okay, so those are the moduli. Okay, so now we are going to use these moduli then. So m of x is the product of all of these. So m of x is equal to p times p minus 1 times p plus 1, which is p cube minus p. Okay, so that's our m of x. Okay, so now what we need to do is to find out, we need to find out by the Euclid's algorithm, we need to find out what is n. Okay, first of all, so what is m0? m0 is p minus 1 times p plus 1. What is m1, cap m1, this is small, that's going to be p times p plus 1. And what is cap m2? That's going to be p times p minus 1, p squared minus 1. So now from that we need to find out, so knowing lowercase mi, uppercase mi, now we need to find out what are n0, n1 and n2. And these are all polynomials in x, or p, in this case p. Well, I should be writing degree of m of p, m0 of p, m2 of p, m0 of p, m1 of p, and m2 of p. So these are all polynomials in p. So we need to find these three things. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we start with, so GCD of, we want to evaluate GCD of m0p and m0p, which is equal to GCD of p squared minus 1 and p. Okay. So p squared, I don't have to do the long division, I can just write it down. So what is this equal to? So divide by p. So p times p cancelled out. So divide by p, p times p, and remainder minus 1. Okay, so Okay, so I need not go on. I can stop here because the next one is going to be simply P is equal to divide by minus 1, that's minus P plus 0, and so this is non-zero. Okay, I will be more careful and write that as plus minus 1. So the non-zero quantity here is the GCD. Okay. So from that, so I can write that, so go backwards now. So we backtrack, so minus 1, well actually what I want is plus 1. So take this to the left side, so plus 1 is equal to minus 1 times P squared plus 1 plus P times P. So this is 1 is equal to M0 P squared minus 1 times N, I think, well I think in the book I might be using, no, the book is using lowercase index I, not superscript. Okay, that's fine, that's okay. And what about N? Is it a subscript or a superscript? Okay, that probably doesn't matter. So let's take N0 P and then M0 of P and N0. We don't really worry about these things. So okay, so now what we are interested in, so we are done with this part. What we really are interested in is the product Ni times Mi, and that this times that is this quantity here. So that's all I need. So let's keep doing this for the two other moduli. So GCD of M1P and M1P is equal to, so okay, not is equal to, so to compute that I divide P squared plus P is equal to P minus 1 times okay, so P squared plus P is equal to P minus 1 times P plus 2, remainder 2. Okay. All right. So, so you could also see quickly by the method I explained, the remainder of P squared plus P with respect to P minus 1, just substitute P is equal to 1. So we know the remainder quickly. The quotient may take a little time, but we know the remainder quickly. Okay, so so now I can say, okay, so this is a constant, so we are done. There is nothing more to do. I can write one more line equal to 0, but that this is the GCD, and as I explained, the GCD is some alpha times 2, alpha times 2. And if I want to compute 1 is equal to, so take this to the left hand side, divide by 2. So 1 is equal to half times P squared plus P plus minus half times minus P plus 2 times P plus 2 by 2 times P minus 1. Okay, so that is, so this is M1 of P, this is N1 of P, okay, and P minus 1 is M1 of P, and this is N1 of P. Okay, so we found for the second one. For the third one, this is p squared minus 1 and p plus 1. And if I divide same way, okay, so if I divide p squared minus 1 by p plus 1, so p squared plus p minus p minus 1 minus 1 minus p minus 1 cancelled out. Okay, well, I could have seen that myself. P squared minus 1 is p plus 1 times p minus 1.
The first item should be p squared minus p, right?
Okay, yeah, it's something seems I
M2.
M2, yeah, it looks like I made some mistake. So this is not minus 1. This should be minus p, right? Yeah. Is that what you are saying? Yeah. So I guess I made a small mistake because this was so now that I know GCD is the remainder is 0, which can't happen, so I made a mistake somewhere. So we go back. So M2 cap M2 is p times p minus 1, which is p squared minus p squared minus p times p minus 1. Okay, so then this is p squared minus p, so p squared minus p, and then this is minus 2p, and then multiply by minus 2, minus 2p minus 2, and this is plus 2. Okay, which is and as a quick check we can see remainder of p squared minus p with p plus 1 is equal to replace p by minus 1 whole squared, p squared minus p, sorry, minus p is minus 1, which is 2. Okay, so that's correct. So it's good to check time to time. So this is equal to p minus 2 times p plus 1 plus 2, and I want to express, so we are done. This is a constant term, so we are done. So take this to the other side, divide by 2, so 1 is equal to, so from this equation divide by 2, and so 1 is equal to half, well actually not that equation, p squared minus p equal to, okay, so so 1 is equal to half times p squared minus p minus p minus 2, so bring this to the other side, or I can say plus minus by 2 times p plus 1. So 1 is equal to half times p squared minus p and minus p minus 2 by 2 times p plus 1, and p plus 1 is m2, so this is n2, and this p squared minus p is m2, and that half is n2. Okay, so finally what we really want to substitute in the Sx is these products of ni times mi. So now I can write down, so what is this product here? P squared minus p by 2, so that's this product, that's the third product. Second product, p squared plus p by 2, okay, and what was the first product? First product, oh here, minus p squared plus 1, n0 times m0. So now I can say that S prime, I am going to expand S prime P is equal to S prime P is equal to the remainder with respect to modulo M0 times N0 times M0, that's minus P squared plus 1 plus S1 of S, I should say S prime of 1 of P times N1 M1 P squared plus P by 2. Plus S prime 2 times what was N2 times M2, that's P squared minus P by 2. Okay, P squared minus P by 2. Okay. And it is possible, as we saw in the other example, it is possible that this, if it so happens that this degree is more than 2, degree 3, then we have to take the modulo with respect to MP, which is P times P minus 1 times P plus 1. But if it so happens that this degree is still 2 or less, then that doesn't mean anything. Any questions so far? Okay. Yeah. Okay, if not, let us continue. Okay. So now we are trying to expand the S prime P, which is okay. So we are trying to expand S prime P, which is this quantity here. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So S prime P is equal to this quantity here, H0 plus H1P times X0 plus X1P plus X2P squared minus H1 X2P cube. Okay. All right. So now if I take this moduli, P minus 1, P plus 1, so those are our moduli, P minus 1, P plus 1. So what is S0, S prime 0, P? So as I explained to you, to find a remainder quickly, just substitute P equal to 0. Wherever there is P, because we are computing remainder with respect to P, just substitute P equal to 0, and then that is H0, X0, this is 0, this is 0, this is 0, we are done. Okay, that's the remainder. I'm not spending time I'm not dividing, because that's easy way to find out what the remainder are. S prime of P, so the polynomial, remainder polynomial with respect to dividing by modulo P minus 1, the quick way is substitute P is equal to 1. Okay, P is equal to 1. So H0 plus H1 times X0 plus X1 plus X2 minus P is equal to 1, H1 X2. So that's the remainder of S prime of P with respect to modulo M1 of P. And finally S prime 2 of P is equal to, so replace P by minus 1. So this is polynomial P plus 1, remainder with respect to P plus 1, is substitute P is equal to minus 1. So that's H0 minus H1 times P is equal to minus 1, x0 minus x1 minus 1 whole squared is the same. Minus, now here P is minus 1 whole cube is minus 1 minus minus 1 is plus 1 times H1 x2. So those are the three remainders, and finally, so these are the remainders. These will be substituted here, and in this case it so happens that these are all constants, and when I multiply these two constants, this will be a degree 2 polynomial, and I don't really need to worry about this modulo anymore. Whether I write that as modulo or not, it doesn't matter, because it could have happened that something here could have been degree 1 polynomial, as it would happen here. So if one of the modulo is degree 2, then one of the remainders would be degree 1, but because all of our moduli are degree 1 polynomials, the remainders are all constant terms. Okay, so we really have completed whatever we need to do, and finally it's just a matter of putting this together. So S of x, so in this case I am expanding S prime, so S prime of x, which actually is this quantity, so S prime of p. Okay, so S prime of p can be written as, okay, so S prime of p can be written as the first remainder S prime 0, S prime 0. Okay, because these are constants, I am just going to write this. Let's forget about this page. So S prime 0 times N0 M0. N0 M0 is minus, oh, I already did that. Okay, so we have completed that step. Okay, so okay, all right. So we have completed that step. So finally we are interested in computing SP. So SP will be computed as S prime P plus H1 X2 P cube. So that's the final step. Okay, I have really everything I need for the Winograd convolution algorithm in this page. Now it's a matter of putting these correctly, but let's see what is going on. So I am taking the 2 point sequence H0 H1 and pre-compute these two. I am taking the 3 point data sequence x0 x1 x2, and I need to go through sum, add and subtract. How many add, subtract I need for these two? 3 y, add these two, so that's 1 add. With that add x1, subtract x1, so 3 add operations. Okay, so let's start with then and what are the, how many multiplications are involved? How many multiplications? I see 1 multiplication here, 2, 3 and 4. So we need 4 multiplications here. Okay, so let's start writing down this as a matrix form, and then we will combine these things. Okay, so so I start with the 3 point sequence x0 x1 x2, and then in order to compute these, okay, so I need to compute h0 x0, h0 times, how do I get x0? 1 0 0. Okay, h0 plus h1 times h0 plus h1 times x0 plus x1 plus x2, 1 1 1. h0 minus h1 times x0 minus x1 plus x2, 1 minus 1 1. And finally h1 x2, h1 x2. Okay, so that completes pre-multiplication and diagonal. And how do I put these things together? how do I put this? So now I have computed the 4 quantities that I need. Okay, so I need the 4 products. I've computed that this, and that. Okay. Okay, so now let's go back here. So now from here, so S prime P is equal to all of these things. So in terms of, by the way, what is S prime P? So S prime P, I'll come back to this page. Well, let's call this one 11 and we'll come back here to 12. Okay. So S prime P is simply S0 plus S1P plus S2P squared. So that's what S prime P is. SP is plus S3P cube. So SP is equal to S0 plus S1P plus S2P squared plus S3P cube, and now I know that S3 is H1 X2. I know that. Okay. So from these three things, what are S0, S1, S2? So collect all the constant terms. What are all the, I see only one constant term here. So that is S prime 0. So S0 is equal to S prime 0. Collect all coefficients of P. S1, how many P's? We see 2 locations with P's, and that is S prime 1 minus S prime 2 by 2. S prime 1 minus S prime 2 divided by 2. Okay, collect all the coefficients of P squared. P squared is in 3 locations, here, here, and here. So S2 is equal to minus S prime 0, okay, plus S prime 1 by 2 plus S prime 2 by 2. So we have now collected those things. Okay. Okay. So so let's go back. Okay. So now what exactly are these things? So S prime 0 is H0 X0, S prime 0, S prime 0. We substitute these 3 things. Okay, so okay, let me write that down one more step. Okay, S prime 0, we have about 5 minutes. So S prime 0 is equal to H0 X0. Okay, that's S prime 0. Now what is S1? That's first S prime 1 minus S prime 2. Now what divided by 2? So this quantity minus this quantity, okay, divided by 2. So S1 is equal to H0 plus H1 divided by 2 times X0 plus X1 plus X2 minus H1 X1 by 2. That's, so that finishes S prime 1 by 2 minus S prime 2 by 2. So minus H0 minus H1 by 2 times X0 minus X1 plus X2 minus H1 X1 by 2. And then I can say, okay, these two together are simply minus H1 X1. Okay, minus half, that just makes it minus 1. Finally, S2 is minus S prime 0 minus H0 x0 plus these two. So now I just take this line. So I had S prime. So this line here plus this line here, divide by 2. Now what happens if you take this plus that? This minus this plus cancelled out. Okay. So we get minus that plus that H0 plus H1 by 2 times x0 plus x1 plus x2 plus H0 minus H1 by 2 times x0 minus x1 plus x2. And then I need to substitute those here. Okay, good. So now I can see that I really want to write this as divided by 2 divided by 2. So this H0 plus H1 by 2, H0 minus H1 by 2. So now I can say S0, S1, S2, S3 is equal to, okay, what is S0? H0 x0. Okay, so that's the first quantity. So that's H0 x0. So 1, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so that's S0. The last one is also easy. That's simply H1 x2. Okay, let's see what is S1. S1 is H0 plus H1 by 2 times that. So that's the second quantity. Okay. Something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong in my quickly writing this down. This is H1 x2. So this is H1 x2. Okay. So so S1 is this quantity minus H0 minus H1 by 2 times x0 minus x1 minus H1 x2 minus H1 x2. What about S2? That's minus H0 x0 plus that. Okay. Let me just make sure we didn't make any mistakes. I am just quickly going to read the final answer from the book solution, and indeed it looks correct so far. Okay. So yeah, it looks correct so far. Yes. Okay, so that completes the modified Winograd convolution algorithm for the 2 by 3 convolution. How many multiply adds do we need here? So I already explained to you that this is 3 adds. And how many adds here? To add 3 things. There is nothing in common, no common sub-expression. The only common sub-expression here is 1 and 1, which I can use to reduce 1 add. So this will be 4 add. So this modified Winograd convolution requires 4 multiply and 7 adds. Okay, so the 2 by 3 convolution by the modified Winograd algorithm requires 4 multiply 7 adds. And if you want to really draw this by signal flow graph, you can do that too. So I can take x0 multiply by h0 and then take x1 multiply by h2, no, x2, take x2 multiply by h1 and then x0 plus x1 okay, I should take x0 plus x2 first. x0 plus x2, that's the common sub-expression. x0 plus x2 and then plus x1 multiplied by h0 plus h1 by 2 and then finally this quantity here x0 plus x2 minus multiplied by h0 minus h1 by 2 Okay, so we are done up to here, and then finally putting this together. This is S0, this is S3, and then second minus third minus fourth. Second minus third minus fourth. Okay, and then minus first plus second plus third. Okay, minus first plus third plus second. Okay, all right, so this completes our lecture today. I will try to post the homework by end of the day, so you can start working on that. See you next week.